Happy Friday, Youth Developer. I'm really excited to have my friend Avery Wood visiting us today at the Youth Developer for both Interview with Action Taker and the Nutritional Corner. Avery has a master in holistic nutrition. She is also an Enlifted coach, as I am, working with language and stories. And that's exactly where we met. She's also a yoga teacher, and she's going to talk to us about her journey and maybe a few things here and there about me, the personal things I'm currently struggling with. So, Avery, welcome to the Youth Developer. It is Friday and we are here, and I am loving your background. So welcome to the Youth Developer.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes. So, why don't you start off like really how you got into nutrition? Why don't we start right there?
Yeah, so my journey definitely started 6 years ago when I was living in Guatemala, and I got a parasite my gut was like never the same since, pretty much. And yeah, it caused a lot of gut imbalance, and I tried to deal with it on my own, and then I started working with naturopaths, and then the issue just got worse and worse. The chronic inflammation kept getting worse, and my symptoms got worse to the point where I really just felt like a shadow of myself. I had debilitating brain fog and fatigue to the point where I wouldn't want to socialize at all. Like, I was very social, I was in my mid-20s at the time, and I looked healthy, and people didn't understand why I didn't want to come and hang out, or why I wouldn't socialize, why I couldn't eat out with them or drink or whatever. Yeah. And so that was very isolating as well. I felt very alone in my experience. Like, I didn't know any other 27-year-olds who were going through something similar. And so I was really just hiding out, and yeah, the socializing I felt very embarrassed a lot of times because I would stumble on my words. Like, there were points where the brain fog was so bad I couldn't even finish a sentence. Wow. And I would be talking and then forget my thoughts. And yeah, so it was a very isolating experience. And the naturopath that was helping me at the time, just after my diagnosis, SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, and it's kind of like a silent epidemic. I mean, everyone knows what IBS is, but really most people with IBS have SIBO, but they're just undiagnosed. Yeah. So I had the diagnosis was back in 2015 when it was even less known than it is now. It's becoming much, much, much more talked about, which is great. But yeah, it was very unknown, and my naturopath just gave me some herbs and told me a diet to look up. And then I looked up this diet, and I was like, I mean, thankfully there was information out there, but it was like a full-time job researching how to do this diet. And this diet was like, there's certain phases you have to do it in. And then the first phase is like, you're only eating baby food that you make. And it was just really intense, full-on elimination diet. I'd never heard about an elimination diet before in my life. And
that was the name of the diet, the elimination diet?
No, it was called the SCD diet, the simple carbohydrate diet, I think is what it's called. Okay. But I bought an ebook on it, and it told me how to do it, because my naturopath didn't have any clue. And I really just taught myself how to do this, how to do an elimination diet, and then add new foods back in, and then learn like learn how that food is interacting with your body and learn how to listen to my body. And those concepts were completely new to me. Like
Right.
never heard of an elimination diet, never even thought about, you know, how my food like could be affecting me in so many different ways, like how
Right.
inflammation can, how one food you eat one day can cause inflammation 3 days later, and the brain fog I might be experiencing that day was really from the tomato I ate 3 days before. But like making that connection, so I learned a lot about nutrition through that process.
Self-taught,
And
I see, right?
yeah, a lot of it was self-taught, and it was really hard. Like I felt so crappy for about 6 months on that diet, and I can't believe I stuck with it, because now I've talked to many people who have tried it and just give up on it. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, around 6 months, I started to feel myself again, and it was really cool because each new food, like I remember one time I added in mushrooms, and
Mm-hmm.
then I could not digest the mushrooms. And then a month
Mm.
later, I could digest them, and it was just amazing to see how much my body healed in a month. So that those little wins, those were
Yeah.
very encouraging along the way of like, oh, okay, I couldn't eat mushrooms a month ago, and now I can.
Yeah.
Um,
That's the whole fun of self-experimentation, right? That you get to see and really embrace that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I learned a lot about my body and how it
Mm.
reacts to certain foods, and that's how I learned how I'm allergic to tomatoes. Like
Got
they
it.
they'll put me out for a whole day if I eat tomatoes. So
Really? So
um,
no pizza for you right now?
no, well, I make a really good pesto pizza.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
saves me with the pizza.
That's awesome. Maybe later on you can share that recipe with us. That would be awesome.
Yeah, yeah, I'll send you one.
Sounds good.
Um, but yeah, so that was just an incredible learning experience for me, and it also was a hidden answer to my prayers. Like
Mm.
I had been searching for a few years at that point for just like what my purpose is here, how
Mm.
I can contribute and really share my gifts with the world. I was
Yeah.
looking for my gifts and then how I could share them. So um, it was a blessing in disguise, absolutely. And now I consider it a rite of passage,
Mm.
um, because it really led me to where I am, and it really led me down my, like, to fulfill my soul's purpose, which, so it's been this deeply profound experience for me, my health journey. And even though in the early years I was really not grateful for it, and
Mm.
I was in an argument with my reality. I was
Ooh. Arguing with my reality. That's gonna go here. I love it.
yeah, I really was having a hard time accepting that that was my life, because
Mm.
I felt young, and I felt like I was in my prime, and
Yeah.
I felt like I was really missing out on a lot of stuff, and I just was having a really hard time accepting it. But
Yeah.
eventually, once I realized that this was my path and this was my purpose, then I was able to develop more gratitude for it. Um, and that helped me through it, even though, once I realized that I wanted to go to grad school for nutrition,
Mm.
I was still dealing with SIBO. I dealt with it for 5 years. And so I was still dealing with it even in grad school, studying nutrition, and I was going to heal myself and then help
Yeah.
others heal. And but yeah, so it was the gratitude that really helped me to develop a more positive mindset um, around it. And then and this is where story work comes in.
Okay. Yeah. And I love how you say develop, because that's being intentional about your gratitude. So please do tell how the story word came in with that.
Yes, so um, I there was one night where I was in the bath, and baths were one of my many ways to just like help myself heal. I do one every
Yeah.
week, and So I was in my bath, and I realized that I was identifying with the illness, and my identity was attached to it. And because I was speaking about it all the time, and it just, because I was speaking about it so much, it became such a huge, that made it a bigger part of my reality. And I would use it as an excuse, like endless amounts of excuses of why, like it was like my armor, it was my shield to protect myself from the outside world. And it was my excuse of why I, couldn't go out to eat with friends, or why I was in a crappy mood, or why I was tired, or why I couldn't travel, and all these excuses of why I felt bad or couldn't do something.
Right.
And it was like, oh, well, I'm sick, I have SIBO, and I had this total I call it illness mindset. And so then Mark really helped me with this.
How did you meet him?
Mark and I met actually when I was living in Guatemala in 2014.
Oh, okay.
And so this time period in Guatemala was a huge transformative time in my life, because I got this illness, and then and I met Mark, which also like has led to this beautiful journey. And so he helped me he just had me do one simple thing, and he had me write my healing story, but in the past tense. So as if I was already fully healed, and I didn't have SIBO anymore. And he had me really write how it felt and what I was doing and what it looked like. And I had to write this whole story. And at the time, I remember being a little resistant to doing it, because I did not believe it. Like at this point, this was like year 4 or 5 into having it, and I was just like, starting to be complacent with it. Yeah, and just be like, well, maybe this is just, maybe I'm just a weak, sick person, and my body's not capable of healing, and this is just going to be my life. And so I really didn't believe it at the time. I remember writing it out really vividly and somewhat reluctantly, but that planted a seed in my head. And it was a few months after that this this flip switched, where I was so fed up, like the diet wasn't working, the special SIBO diet I was on, the herbs weren't working for me, like everything that the medical world knows how to treat SIBO with just was failing me. And so I was like, I need to try something completely different, because I was living out Albert Einstein's famous quote, right?
Which one's that?
Like, I know he has so many, but
the insanity one.
The insanity one, where you keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
Yes.
And like 5 years of doing the same thing over and over and over again felt like I was on a hamster wheel. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna try something new. Did the mindset shift, did combo, and those were really the main things that like just catapulted me into like a healthy state. And so since then I've learned, like, so at that point I promised I would stop talking about it. I would anytime I felt tired or had some kind of like symptom, I wouldn't blame it on SIBO. I would say like, well, I'm tired because humans get tired, and like, that's normal. And just because I'm tired doesn't mean that there's something wrong with me. Like, it's okay to be tired, and it's okay to have an upset stomach sometimes. And so just those kind of shifts really changed absolutely everything for me. Like I didn't, without changing anything else in my life, like my symptoms went away from the mindset shifts.
Yeah.
And with also with the combo, and then I spent 2 weeks in Hawaii, which was very healing as well. So
Yeah.
actually, like that was kind of the icing on the cake. I went to Hawaii and then came back and was like, I feel like a completely new person. And that was in 2018, and that stuck with me. So
yeah.
yeah, so I'm just really, really, really grateful that I figured out how to heal myself, with, of course, the help along the way with other people. And I really just realized that health is just so many puzzle pieces that you have to put together. And that's why it's so complicated, and gut issues are so complicated, and hormonal issues are so complicated. And
Yes.
it's really not just like, so my approach now, I'm developing a program to help people with the same issue that I had. But my approach is to not only address the physical body, because that's what I did for 5 years over and over again,
Right.
in isolation from the rest of my being.
Mm.
And we are not just bodies. We are our minds. We are our emotions. We are our
Yes.
energetic field. We are our spirits, our souls. We all have a soul. And like I realized, like, to heal fully, if you want full 100% your best version of yourself, which is what I was after,
Yeah.
can't just look at one of those things in isolation. So that's what I'm really passionate about now, is like, okay, how to like guide people to heal on each one of those levels. Like, and nutrition is just one part of that. Like if you're, if you have negative thoughts going on in your head all the time, and you have heavy negative emotions all the time, you're not going to be digesting your food. You're not going to be breaking that food down and assimilating it. And so it's really just all so interconnected. And yeah, so it's been a really amazing journey that I'm so grateful for.
I'm so grateful you're sharing this. This is so great to hear. I hear one, well, I guess it's two words, the self-responsibility that you
Mm.
were so intentional about when you decided to stop, as you said, using your diagnosis or your disease as the reason for not going out and doing XYZ. So
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate that. Yeah, I hear it all through your story that you took self-responsibility. And again, I mentioned it earlier, just developing gratitude, that's intentional as well, right? It's not that I decided just to be grateful. It's actually a practice. It's not something that you like, okay, I'm gonna decide to be grateful and yeah, good luck. you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because if you've never once had a gratitude practice, and you don't know how to be grateful, then yeah, like you said, it's a practice, and you get better at it over time, and then all of a sudden it's just like integrated into your life, and you'll just have little sweet moments of being like, wow, I'm really grateful for that grass, or like,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
random things like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
so grateful for the wind or whatever.
Right.
um,
Right.
and yeah, you just start to change the frame that you see the world through, when you like have that kind of practice. So, and that's how you send these, your brain, when you're in these, like, this positive framework, this upward spiral of positive emotions, then that's sending healing signals to the rest of your body. Like, it's reinforcing that you're healthy and you're happy, and and we're in these negative states, like I was for a long time. It
Yeah.
just kept my body in this um, you know diseased state. um,
Mm,
right, yeah.
yes. I like that. I know you mentioned too about digestion because a lot of people think that digestion starts in the mouth, but it really starts in the brain, because it's your brain who are signaling in your stomach for your enzymes to get ready to chow down once your food gets to your stomach. So going back to like the whole parasympathetic and sympathetic state. And
Yeah.
I know for me, I share this for so many people, I spend so much money getting grass-fed this, organic that, and while I was eating on the go or eating in my car.
Mm.
And so I like to tell people that digestion is sort of like the wheels of the car. Like you could do an oil change, you could wash your car, maintain it, but if you don't have tires, you're not going to go anywhere.
I
So,
like that.
yeah, it's an analogy I use, and I'm currently doing the best I can to remind myself of that, especially when I'm having dinner. Usually
Mm-hmm.
breakfast is really like mellow with my husband, where because I'm cooking, and so when I'm cooking, it sets me in a different space. But he cooks dinner, so when I get out of the office, I'm still like up here, like woo, way high energetic. Whether if I got off the phone with a client or I'm here, I'm living in my head, and when I get to dinner, the the instinct is to eat it quickly and to just get right to eating. And so it's such a great reminder, that we got it's also being intentional about gratitude. Like, thanks, honey, A, for cooking that I don't have to cook and you're cooking. B, like, we're both alive, we're both here,
Mm-hmm.
and C, this is delicious because my husband's half Italian, so like he could throw down
Oh,
in his kitchen.
nice.
So, but yeah, thanks so much for sharing. Tell us a little bit about your program. What's your program all about?
So I'm in the developing stages, but it's called SIBO Transformation Method, and it's specifically for people with SIBO. And it's a 90-day program to get chronically healthy and to go from, yeah, so basically like week one or the beginning of it's going to be priming the mind, like getting the mind ready to heal and just setting the
Yes.
stage for healing to occur. And then going on to the physical level of healing, which will be lifestyle and diet. And that'll be a few week period. And then moving into the emotional, mental level of
Mm,
healing, and taking people through that. And finding people's self-limiting beliefs and stories that are holding them back, um, and and healing everything that's preventing them from their bodies fully healing.
yeah.
And then focusing on the last stage is going to be focusing on our energetic body, where emotions get stuck in our body, and clearing that. And then like the soul, the spirit,
Mm,
because I think everyone who has some kind of chronic illness, it's my belief is that it's their body and their soul asking them to step into the highest version of themselves,
mm,
to make profound changes in their life, to, because something in there that they're doing in their life is causing the disease, and something they're doing is hurting the body
yeah.
or the soul, maybe it's someone that they're living their life for someone else, and they're living their life for the expectations of others. And that's, what that does to the soul is like, very limiting, very, a lot of blocks, a lot of negative energies surrounding that, because it would be unfulfilling to someone. um, so so yeah, then diving into that, like telling people, hey, you're on a special journey. Like if you have
Mm,
this health journey, this is a learning experience for absolutely everyone that goes through it. Everyone be, comes out a different person than when they started, because that's just the nature of it. Like, you can't, again, the Einstein quote, you can't keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. You can't keep living the same way and then expect that your body is just going to go back to being healthy before. Like, it's asking you to make these profound changes. And so yeah, just helping people dig deep into what their soul wants, and finding out their purpose for their healing journey, and what their great lesson is, and what they can do with that. So
yeah, I love that. You mentioned that too at the beginning of your story, that through the 5 year into, I guess, one of the darkest moments in your life really is when you found your purpose. And I'm not sure if do you know about Brene Brown?
yes, yeah,
Okay.
she's great.
Yeah, she's awesome. I love her. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Her book Dare to Lead. She mentions about the man and a woman in the arena, and it's a quote that she got from Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt. But I'm not even going to try to paraphrase it because I'll kill it. I don't want to do that. But one of the things that created this image for me was when she talked about being in the arena, down on the floor with sweat, blood, and tears. What do you do next? Well, you put one foot in front of the other and you get up, right? Because what's after being on the floor in the worst place? There's only one way, and it's up. Because you can't get any lower than the floor. So it is through our darkest moments that we find the light at the end of the tunnel. I just recently heard a quote: children are afraid of the dark, adults are afraid of the light. And which it made me think so much about how it really takes like people who are willing to know that it is going to be a tunnel. So in that tunnel, it's going to be dark, but if we focus on like that light at the end, and knowing, as you mentioned a couple of times, that it's a progress, right? It's a process you have to go through. And I'm so encouraged you mentioned 5 years, because I know a lot of people give up, right? It's like, okay, I've been doing this diet, right, a year, spending so much money. That was my story, like paleo. My husband read Mark Cezanne's book, and we changed our lifestyle like this. And my husband lost like 20 pounds, like what it felt to me overnight or over a week. And I'm like, I'm not losing any weight. However, I did notice that my acne had cleared. And so, but we were looking for this instant gratification. Like, what are the results right now? And so we didn't start with, we didn't have the mindset that it was going to be not only a progress, but a lifestyle. And I love that you are also doing that in your program, because you're not just talking about nutrition. You're including lifestyle and the emotional, the spiritual state of a being, because it's funny to me. Well, it's not funny, haha, because it actually gets me really angry. I was listening to someone that my husband's following, who, I forget what his title is, but he's a doctor who is very passionate about talking to people about the word uncertainty. Like, why do we feel like we have to be certain about everything? And we sort of miss that magic that's called life or journey. And so we went down this rabbit hole researching him. Long story short, he got really sick, and he looked through so much in the medical field, where, when you think about it, you go to a doctor for like your ear, for like one part of your body, and people go into like get PhDs to just focus on one part, right? When we are a whole. But anyways, I'm grateful. Please let us know when your program is ready to go. I personally will love to support that in any way, because really we're saying the same message. And yes, we're Enlifted coach 2. Hey,
Hey,
not just
yeah.
one. With the first class in level 2. And, besides us being colleagues in this field, I love that we have the nutrition side as another thing, as a common ground. So, yeah, just let us know. I just have
I
one
will.
more question. Yes, thank you. One more
Yeah, absolutely.
question, because I know you mentioned this at the beginning, and I would like us to close with it, and also knowing that this is part of your program, as far as like people's purpose, and that being such a big part of our human need, right? What it's not
Mm-hmm.
like what's life all about, but what is my purpose in life? What is it about me? But
Yeah.
just for you, when you were going through this struggle, and I know you mentioned gratitude, and we also know that Mark was a big part of it, right?
Mhm.
What would be like one piece of advice that people, or one practical that people could walk away when they are trying to find out their purpose? I hear that a lot, and I know me personally, I do help people with that. But I love to get your 2 cents on something that I'm also very passionate about, helping people find their God-given potential, like their full strength. So what will be one practical, one something that people could walk away about finding their purpose?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll speak to my experience. I really used my heart as a compass. And
Mm,
I think, yeah, I think just like discerning the difference between what your brain is telling you and what your heart is telling you. And yeah, I guess just doing like practices to be more in your heart space and setting
wow.
intentions. I mean, this is what I did. I would set intention like I'm I I want to live through my heart space. I want to lead with my heart.
Wow.
Um, and um, I never prayed before in my life, and
Mm-hmm.
I at this during this point in time, was when I was searching, I started praying to source or
Yeah.
whatever, the universe. And I just would ask, like, please, you know, show me what my heart purpose is, show me what I'm here to
Wow.
do, how I can serve. I'm in full trust and without judgment.
Wow.
And so really like building your trust muscle of, and this was a huge part of my journey, was learning to trust myself, because when I was in that really sick stage, um, I was disempowered,
Mm.
and I was not trusting myself. I was not trusting my intuitions. I
Yeah.
was invalidating my emotions, and
Mm.
um, and that was a huge part of my journey, was learning to trust myself. Every time I felt an instinct, an intuition, a ping, whatever you want to call it, whatever it feels
Yeah.
like for you, I would listen and act on it.
Mm.
And then any emotion that came up, even if it seemed irrational or extreme or whatever, I would be like, no, this is valid. My feelings are valid, and they're trying to tell me something, because they're telling me that, something inside me is wounded or triggered or upset. And so listening to that and trusting that there's a message there for everything. And yeah, so I think those were kind of the main things that helped me like really follow my heart, and not to get too caught up in the mind. And of course, like, being creative and playing are also things that I think can help you get into your heart space.
Yeah.
And your heart, I fully trust in my heart and everyone else's heart that it will
Yeah.
lead them down the right path for them.
Yeah.
um, because that's what's gonna fulfill you. Your heart is that. So
Yeah, I love it. I'm deeply touched by that, because one, in nutrition, one thing that always stood out for me is our innate intelligence.
mm-hmm.
And because your body does speak to us, and a lot of times will speak through us through cravings. And so always tapping into the innate intelligence that your body is saying to you is important. And
Mm-hmm.
then the second part, sort of to what you're sharing at the beginning with like prayer, to me, it's like, for me, I mean, I call that, God spirit, and
Mm-hmm.
and it's trusting that, right? Like you said, it's like fully trusting, and you mentioned source, fully trusting in that source to empower you, because we truly are unique, and we truly have a purpose. So I love
Mm-hmm.
that you said that. I'm deeply grateful for the heart. We talked about gratitude, purpose, the heart, your story. Thank you for coming to our channel. I mean, sharing people's stories is what I love to hear, and
Mm-hmm.
I get to share that with the community. So I'll link up your program once you have it to this interview. And yeah, and then hopefully we could do more projects in the future. And
Absolutely.
yeah, so I'm very grateful from the
Yeah.
heart to have you. So thank you so much for visiting us.
Yes. Thank you so much. It's fun chatting with you today. Love to do it
Yes,
again. Yeah.
yes, we gotta do it. Maybe we'll do Instagram for sure.
Yeah. We'll try it out.
Awesome. And that wraps up our interview with Avery Wood. If you like this video, give it a like, drop some comments for Avery below. And please don't forget to check out her website at holisticfreedomnow.com or her Instagram at holistic_freedom_.